This podcast contains explicit language.
And spoilers. Only if you suck. This is Dave. And that was Carlos. Two fat guys talk games.
Mayhem.
Only 25 more than I thought we'd ever get done.
And murder, the likes of which Jehovah himself would condone of only his most righteous followers.
I have no idea what he's talking about, people.
Today, on the show, games get talked about.
Like usual, kind of, sorta. So what have you been doing here recently, Carlos?
Well, I've been being sleepy on your couch.
He doesn't sleep here.
We had a... just to clarify, we had a delicious chicken donair, and that tryptophan combined with the deliciousness of it is kind of making me woozy.
As we know, tryptophan does not cause you to get woozy and that sort of
Don't fucking ruin this for me, okay?
Oh, I'm going to, because Mythbusters busted that one right open.
Other than the pursuing the screenwriting dream, which I still pursue, I have been practicing fighting games in order to attend local Ranbats and whatnot. Been taking some fighting games for other people to play, like Third Strike and Skullgirls and Garou and whatnot. I have also been playing a beta for Oro, which will be out on iOS devices and other Apple devices sometime in the future. Shoutouts to Dino Farm Games and Keith Burgun for Oro, which in the beta is so far a fun little game that I've been having a blast going through and giving feedback on. I don't know if he wants me to mention that or not, so I'll probably ask him, and then I'll snip that out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been playing... I've been uploading my Bucky O'Hare 1 credit playthrough to YouTube, and I need to do a 1 life playthrough next. I played something new the other day, but I don't remember what it is. And I've been playing Halo 4 with you!
Yes. So basically, just what people would expect from me making fun of you for not playing modern games unless I force you.
I will get to Halo 4 sooner rather than later.
Well, you are playing Halo 4 with me, so at least we're getting that through.
I always get to Halo games.
Yes, you do.
It's
sooner than later.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah. How about you? What the hell have you been playing?
You know, I've been actually a little bit of a game glut. I've got lots of games to play, just haven't been in the mood. I was playing a lot of Guild Wars 2 right up into the latest event, trying to do the whole monthly thing achievement, and the event kind of sucked and required me to do a whole shitload of work right within that weekend. So I kind of said fuck it and haven't touched it since. Bought the PC version of Arkham City from Steam for like $7. Been playing that. Found that my Xbox actually handles 3D gaming better than my computer. Probably some settings somewhere I'm not doing right, but...
Weren't you saying your PS3 was also doing the same thing?
Yeah. It just seems to handle the depth better than the actual NVIDIA video card I've got, which is a good video card. No doubt about that. But... it's probably some setting I just don't want to fuck with it right now, so it can wait, and I'll play the game. Looks great, though, above and beyond the console versions. Besides that, a little bit of Cave Story, a little bit of Rune Factory, jumped in and played a whole 5 minutes of Minecraft on a friend's server before I got woefully bored.
We've also been playing Guilty Gear...
Guilty Gear Double X Accent Core Blowjob Edition.
Plus blowjobs. Many a blowjob has been had as I try to adapt to Guilty Gear's bizarre joystick button scheme.
With your stick, yeah.
Inverse U.
I've also been playing a little bit of Persona 4 myself. Well, Persona 4 Arena, at least. As well as Skullgirls, as always. Oh, and last weekend we played King of Fighters...
13.
13, yes.
Which you got for free with your PSN Plus subscription.
With that, I will give a great call-out for Sony on that one. PlayStation Plus has been a fantastic investment. Just based on if I was paying the same amount of money to rent these games, it would have cost me probably 10, 15 times what I paid for PlayStation Plus. So... I don't have a Vita, so I can't take advantage of the Vita free games yet.
Speaking of PlayStation, there were two fighting games I want to talk about. One is the patched Skullgirls. Shoutouts to Mike Z for getting the patch out to the PlayStation at least. Combos feel a lot smoother. They changed the timing to be more like Marvel timing. I guess 5 extra frames were added to chain moves.
Which I really don't like.
Makes a huge wad of difference to extend combos, which is nice. Gave each character a few little new toys to try out. Nerfed double, much to my podcasting partner's delight. And the other fighter is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which is, if you take Smash Brothers, you take out all the bullshit that was basically making it a game that could never possibly be
taken seriously.
Sentences fail me today.
Taken seriously?
Taken seriously at any level, from the hardcore to the casual. You take out the tripping and the other bullshit in it. You actually put, fighting game players and tourney players and people who know what the fuck they're doing, like Seth Killian and Ed Ma. Shoutouts to Seth Killian and Ed Ma, and that other guy whose name I always forget. And if you get them to make a fighter, a Smash-like fighter, you get PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. And the game feels good. It feels solid. It feels like a Smash-type game made by people who wanted to make a Smash game not be terrible. And this kind of ties to our first topic of the day.
Yes.
Game reviews are stupid. Dave's going to tell you why game reviews are stupid.
Well, we all have our favorite reviewers, websites that tend to give a reasonable look at games. Now, in general, this comes from sites like, the main ones these days, there's RP Gamer, there's IGN, GameSpot.
GameSpot, 1UP,
Giant Bomb. Now, Giant Bomb, I've found for the longest time to actually have some really good reviews. Though, I will say that I tend to go towards more the reviews that actually have the videos included, where they're actually showing you the gameplay and telling you how they feel. I find that gives you a little bit more of a feel for the game versus just a text review. However, gotta sort of give the Giant Bomb staff a great big smack across the head for their recent review of Sony's...
What's the name of the game?
All-Star...
Sony Smash.
Yeah, Sony Smash. Let's just go there, because having to say that title every time will make my frickin' head hurt.
Just call it PlayStation All-Stars. That's what everyone else does.
All-Stars.
So here's the thing. Shoutouts to Jeff Gerstmann. It's a fucking shame that you were let go from that other place because you didn't like a game. And here's the other thing. If your review of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale talked about why the mechanics of it did not agree with you, and why you did not feel these mechanics were conducive to a sound fighter, that would have been A-okay.
And we wouldn't actually be having this topic.
The problem, and this is something I've noticed in game reviews for a while, and game reviews have kind of fallen from grace for me. When I saw Jeff Gerstmann's review, this kind of hit ahead. This was like the last straw on the camel's back. I have a big issue when people review games and the mechanics and interactions and gameplay. I know some people don't like the word gameplay, but it encapsulates everything I'm talking about, so fuck off. When we're talking about the mechanics and interactivity and all the things that make something a game, they should comprise more than 2 paragraphs of your fucking review. And when your 2 paragraphs give a brief shout-out to the gameplay, and then the rest of your review talks about how the UI and the menu and the visual interface basically are kind of drab, and that's kind of killing your hype for a game, maybe you should give up gaming and take up, like, knitting or some kind of painting where these aesthetic concerns might matter. My big issue with game reviews is that, and maybe this is because fighting game reviews are so terrible unless you get someone like David Serlin reviewing it. Shoutouts to our Lord and Savior David Serlin. The problem here is that, and even if you go back and look at Street Fighter 4 reviews, everyone's like, the Street Fighter's back and it feels just like the old games, and it's good to see Street Fighter in the modern era, but still retain that classic feel. And I'm like, you cocks, this game doesn't feel anything like Street Fighter 2. This game has, even if we're not talking about the mechanics, it has a bunch of quality of life features missing from it, like a proper button config, or ultras that don't need motion and 3 buttons, which is fine for people who play on a stick like me, but kind of shitty for people on a pad who have to now map that to a shoulder button and turn a 6-button game into an 8-button game. And not to mention, like, the weird low damage, high ultra thing that turned the game really defensive at first until their patches made certain characters too strong on purpose to try to get people to be better with lower tiers, and then the game became all offense. The point is...
That's an awesome review of Street Fighter 4 there, Carlos.
The point is, if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be fucking reviewing something. And if you're fucking reviewing something to talk about how it looks and how it looks, maybe don't review games. Maybe review films. Because clearly that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm not looking for much at a review. I'm looking for keywords, phrases, and sort of how it's feeling, and especially in this review that he's done, I'm not really getting a feel for how the game is really playing. I mean, we get a whole bunch of basically whining about how, there's a lot of third-party characters, how... I'm going to say one line here that especially stands out to me. Not one, but 2 versions of Cole from Infamous. That he gets 2 squares in the select screen instead of a pressed triangle for evil Cole treatment says to me that the developers are struggling to fill up the roster. Okay, that's nice, but what you just said was stupid.
The point is, Infamous has these 2... polar opposite characters.
And from what I've heard, the movesets are actually quite different depending on which one you choose.
There's a Ryu and an evil Ryu in a lot of Street Fighter games, and they are wildly different characters. You pick them for different purposes. Hell, lately, evil Ryu's facelift, having the giant hole in his chest, makes him seem really cool. He's actually a very cool alternative to that. I don't see that being an issue. This is a non-issue. Why is this review bringing up a non-issue? There are 2 paragraphs that talk about how the game plays and how it's about building up your super meter. It even talks about how it's still kind of like dealing damage, because when you get hit, someone else is going to benefit from it. So everyone who complains that, oh man, I hate that this game builds super meter, I'm going to go back and play my Trip Happy Smash Brothers Brawl piece of shit, fucking doesn't know what they're talking about. And the review even touches on that for 2 paragraphs. And then we're back to how this game isn't like, it's not screaming out PlayStation enough. It's not celebrating itself. It's not circle jerking itself off. Like, and is that the point of games now? Another
quote from his review here.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm very angry right now.
And that's fine. But, I mean, to quote another line from his, for a game that should be bursting at the seams with personality and charm, sure has some drab, plain menus. That's nice.
Yeah, and this is Jeff Gerstmann.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it could be hit A to play the game, hit A for the character, and then you're playing the game. I mean, I'm not looking for slick menus as long as it's not fighting me, as long as I'm not having to go through a dozen menus to play the game. The fact that he's focusing on menus, or the fact that there's so many third-party characters versus Sony main ones.
And I just want to point out for our listeners,
even going as far as the background stuff, this is stupid. This is a bad review, and truthfully, I hate reviews that give me a 3 out of 5 stars rating. Ratings of numbers are stupid.
I just want to point out something. Dave doesn't actually even really care about PlayStation All-Stars. So the fact that he has grievances with this review should tell you how dumb it is.
I mean, I want to play it eventually, but this game was not one that I was biting at the tooth or chewing at the bit, rather, to play. It was, okay, well, eventually I'll try it somewhere and maybe it'll be good. But it wasn't a big thing. But to read a review that is so poorly put together.
And this is the thing. This is Jeff Gerstmann. This is not a dumb guy. This is a funny guy on the Giant Bomb cast.
And I mean,
this is a guy who helped make Giant Bomb when he was booted off another site for expressing an opinion.
Even his headline here is really poorly thought out. This frantic fighting game just doesn't pack in enough PlayStation flavor to truly earn the title of All-Star. What? Jeff, really? We're not reviewing Kane and Lynch here. We're not having to worry about this. Seriously.
Isn't that kind of funny that that's kind of the concern here? It's like, oh, sure, this game has a solid fighting engine, but is it marketed well enough? No. I'll give it one less star than Shitty Brawl.
Yeah.
Now, to touch on something, devil's advocate here. If the menus really were so bad that they're impeding you, that'd be one thing. That's actually taking away from the game by putting a barrier in between you and the game. Like Street Fighter 4's shitty button config where it lists the button and you scroll through a list of functions instead of listing the function and you tap a button like Skullgirls and other proper fighting games do it. The fact that it does that, that's an interface flaw that actually makes games take longer. That should count against the game. If the game did the button config right, but the menu that did it was plain Jane but functional, that's not points docked. Like,
nor do you dock points from the darn thing for not having characters you think should be there.
Yeah, like
I mean, he spends a whole paragraph. Well, okay, half the paragraph is on the fact that Crash Bandicoot didn't make it into the game. The next part is Cloud Strife and Lara Croft. It didn't make it into the game. Suck it up and play with the characters that made it.
Like, where's
your opinion on whether it should have been there or not really should not affect your review score.
It's really stupid, and especially for this game where a bunch of designers sat down and thoughtfully tried to go, okay, let's take Smash Brothers and make it work. And then we not only get stupid fucking gamers who are like, this game's not as good as Brawl because Mario's not in it. Or Brawl is way more frantic and fun, and ignoring, the bullshit tripping, the fact that you have to fight to unlock all your characters, that you can't transfer save files to go past that you can't turn off tripping, that the stages can encourage strategies that, in order for the game to even resemble something that you might get better at, needs a whole bunch of rules retrofitted in. That it's this terrible fucking game, and people like it because it's bursting at the seams with flavor. And now we have reviewers doing this. And this is an issue I've had with game reviews for a long time, and that said, game reviews don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Film reviews, I might read a film review that rates a movie as mediocre, but like you said, I'm looking for keywords, and I'm looking for things that make me go, do I want to watch this movie? I try to use reviews as a tool, not as a way to put down a movie or to put up a movie. I don't believe that Pan's Labyrinth deserves the 98 fucking % it gets on Rotten Tomatoes. But if I read the reviews, I get indications that this is a film I want to watch. Similarly, even though both A-Team and The Kingdom were panned on Rotten Tomatoes, I read things in those reviews that made me want to watch both. The Kingdom, kind of A-Team, rollicking good fun. Point is, that's what reviews are supposed to do. And game reviews seem like they come from this place where people don't understand games. They're talking way too much about things that don't make a game a game. I've talked for a long time. Dave talked for a while.
Ultimately, we sort of shit on him for this one review, and I've read other ones of his, and they've been just fine. It seems like this is...
His Smash review is about how that game is bursting at the seams with flavor. No real mention about its contemptuous mechanics that, make it not worth wiping my ass with. He's reviewed Street Fighter 4, and he never mentioned any of the problems with that game, so I don't know. I said I would shut up for a while, so I'm going to shut the fuck up for a while.
No, it's fine. I mean, ultimately, I know you don't like Kotaku.
No, I do not.
However, there is one reviewer on there that actually talks and gives decent game reviews, except his reviews come down to how he felt playing the game. He'll talk about the actual gameplay. He'll talk about things he liked and he disliked. But in the end, all he has is a giant button that says, should you play this game? And in his opinion, yes or no.
What's this guy's name?
Couldn't tell you.
There are certain names off that site that I want to, not literally, punch in the throat.
And that's fine. I just jump on there, and if I'm reading the review, I can tell which one it is. But he's also the only one that does the whole should you play this, yes or no.
Yeah.
But
I don't even think that's strong as a review format.
But that I find that better than the whole I give this game 3 stars out of 5 or whatever, because giving it an arbitrary number, in your opinion, based on the factors of graphics, gameplay, story, everything else, that's still very much tinged by not just your understanding of the games and its mechanics and its story, but it's all your impression. I'd much rather have a person tell me how they felt playing the game, or Giant Bomb's video playthroughs, because it tells me things about it. And you're not saying, "My God, you gotta play this game." It's just in my opinion, is this game worth playing? Yes.
I'm gonna leave that in and not tell people you're trying to cover a sneeze. I'm okay with a 5-star system, especially since there are only 10 possible scores, counting half stars. I'm kind of not okay with a 10-point system that involves decimals, because as friend of the show Shane will argue, what's the difference between an 8.1 and an 8.3 exactly?
Diddly squat.
I also kind of like letter grades, because I kind of get what the difference between an A and the C is. And that's partly why I'm okay with the star system. And again, if Jeff Gerstmann rated this game 3 stars because he came out and said, even though I understand the reasoning behind why you build super with attacks and why kills work the way they do, it still does not give me that same good feeling of getting ring-outs in Smash Brothers Brawl. And I can't ultimately enjoy this game knowing that this is the system that that it's using. Something to that effect. That would have been better, because he's at least talking about the game. I'd still have an issue with why he thinks a fighting game needs to be that, but we're at least getting an honest assessment about the game and not the packaging.
Well, let's talk more about the manual.
The game didn't come with a manual. You can install one and read it on your PlayStation 3, and Halo 4 didn't come with a manual either. And I'm okay with
I meant
this.
that more as a shot of, instead of talking about the gameplay, let's talk more about the manual.
Oh.
As part of the review sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Man, this game's manual is so tacky. 2 stars out of 5 for the game.
Manuals are pretty much a dead topic.
Why waste the paper?
Pretty much. So, what makes a review good in your mind?
Someone giving me an assessment. That assessment based on... Here's the thing. Good opinions, well-formed opinions, are based on facts. Opinions being subjectivity, that means not everyone is going to like the same things I like. But if I read a review and I'm getting the impression that I'm getting this person's take on mechanics, interactivity, controls, gameplay, things that make games, I think that's a successful review. I think if those things are thoughtful and explained and backed up, that we are getting a good game review here. It can be totally the polar opposite of an opinion than I would have about a particular game. But that's a good game review in my mind. How about you?
Well, I mean, I've done the shout out for how I don't really like the numbering system, whether it's alphabet or star or 1 out of 5 sort of thing. I'm looking for the person's actual opinion on, as they're playing through the game, what are they almost the touchy-feely stuff. It's like, how, when you're playing the game, how is the character affecting you? Are the controls helping the gameplay, atmosphere, stuff like that? It's why I really appreciate the video reviews on Giant Bomb, because they're playing it, they're talking back and forth, but they're showing me how sections of the game are. I'm able to see, okay, well, they're complaining about the controls, and they're saying, well, they're trying to do this when it's actually doing that. I get to see how the game looks. I get to hear how it sounds. A little bit of storyline, if it's actually a storyline-based game, or whether it's a more visual-based storyline. Things like that. Really, I really believe the whole written review kind of has come and gone. When we have the ability to show these reviews in video, take 20 minutes and actually just show stuff off. And in the case of Giant Bomb, a lot more than that, if you want.
I'm nodding thoughtfully.
They go to the overkill level in many ways, but those are the sort of things that I value in today's day and age. In many ways, we're getting more quality. You're getting really more quality review just from the trailers themselves. Yes, they aren't going to tell you how it actually controls and everything else, but truthfully, I got more from the trailer than I got from Jeff Gerstmann's review. And that's really kind of sad.
I'm nodding thoughtfully because we are in the internet age where it's easy to throw a video review up on the net, and maybe you're right. Maybe the best way to review a game that is ultimately interactivity and in some kind of real-time environment, even if a game is turn-based, maybe that's the best way to be reviewing games. Maybe that's the best way to convey what a game is about, and maybe that by itself will lend to separating the opinion from the objective kind of presentation of the game. Maybe that's the better way to do it.
I mean, I'll go one step further and say that if two best friends or one of those groups was to do a play session of All-Stars, I would probably get way more valid of an opinion, even in their chuckling around making fun of stuff.
I would argue it depends on the group. The two best friends play happen to have Wooly as part of them, or Best Friends Brawl, which I guess is 3 people now, not just 2. They have Wooly in it, who goes to tournaments, from what I understand. And they have Matt, who actively plays fighters, right? So we have a better assessment of fighters from those two than if we were to watch, say, Game Grumps flail about.
Okay.
If you watch them play TMNT tournament fighters, you're like,
okay,
man,
fine.
We would school the shit out of them in any fighting game.
What I mean is specifically two best friends, even in their mock playing around making fun of stuff, I think I get a more valid opinion and look at the game if they were to play PlayStation All-Stars than Jeff Gerstmann's entire review.
Yeah, and I see your point. Like, there's a right and a wrong way to do a text review, but maybe video reviews are the way to go. Maybe, perhaps, all reviews will be video, and we will discard all language in the future. Let's take this to its ultimate extreme. This is the end of language, to paraphrase Penny Arcade.
No, don't want to go that far, but if by some chance this gets to you, Jeff, and you're listening at any one point, you have some good things to say here and there, but you've really got to focus more on the game versus you're whining and pouting about how it doesn't have person XYZ, or stop worrying so much about the aesthetics. Give us more of an indication how the actual gameplay is.
Did you call it the aesthetics?
No, I said aesthetics.
Okay. I think
I don't have a lip.
I think that if he...
No offense.
I think if this ever did get to him, he probably wouldn't give a shit. I already commented on his review. Actually, I love to comment.
Ah.
Yes, it was kind of venomous.
User review?
Yeah. No, not the user review. The user review is someone else who reviewed the game.
Ah, okay.
I left just a comment on the Giant Bomb review.
Okay.
It's under... I don't know if you want to read it out loud. It's kind of venomous. You might want to go to latest. We're just scrolling through. Just click latest. There I am under Axelhander, the second review. What the fuck? I think I'm just going to read it out loud. Man, I'm super glad we got way more words talking about presentation UI and menus than about mechanics and fighting engine. What an excellent review of this game's true qualities. Can I assume Smash Bros. Brawl, with its contemptuous tripping and backwards design, but top-notch presentation, UI, and menus, since after all that's what really matters, got a more favorable rating? Checking. Yup. Not just another star, but a generally more favorable tone in the review. What a shock. And I'm just going to stop reading there because I'm making myself angry.
I'm not. Far too many gamers already applaud and defend poor design for stupid reasons while condemning sound design for the same. It's extraordinarily frustrating to see reviewers, ideally supposed to be much more thoughtful than the average gamer, completely forget that games are games that should be judged as such. Now it's looking...
Nobody actually replied to me. There's only one more comment since I commented. I think I posted rather late. So there's some arguments to and fro in the comments, but I find, no offense to the one or two good Giant Bomb commenters, that Giant Bomb commenters are stupid as sin. Also stupid as sin, YouTube commenters, Screw Attack commenters, Game FAQs commenters, anybody who likes ponies. Yeah. So, yeah, giddy up. And now it's time for the part of the show where Dave and I fight to the death.
He's already lost. He's died multiple times.
We're gonna jump cut away. And back, I'm dead.
He's actually got the classic Dragon Ball Z halo above his head.
I am still able to record because, as we know, death isn't really a hindrance. It is just an inconvenience. So, you wanted to bring up a topic, Dave. Perhaps you should tell me what that topic is, because I slightly forget it.
Well, no problem. Game censorship.
Yes. So we pulled up a list from Wikipedia.
I mean,
shout-outs to Wikipedia begging for donations, but still never wanting to get sued.
I mean, even before I went into Wikipedia, there were certain ones that I just knew had been censored in one way, shape, or form, whether it be in North America or somewhere around the world.
Indeed, censorship happens everywhere, like Gears of War 3 in Japan.
That was the taking out of a lot of blood and...
It's still censorship. It's still censorship.
Exactly.
Or our version of As Your Dreams, where you couldn't pursue the one gay relationship, because as we all know, it's wrong fucking this fucking continent. Shoutouts to gay gamers. While I am not gay, I hear your plight. We live in a bigoted world. My thoughts are with you. Also my penis, no homo.
I mean, growing up, there were certain games that I had heard had been censored in some small way. And granted, in the early days of PC games and console games, we didn't really realize that game was censored unless we read it in the local Nintendo Power.
Or if the arcade version was violent and the home version was definitely not violent.
Mortal Kombat
1.
Yes. Super NES.
By the time Mortal Kombat 2 came along, Nintendo chillaxed because the ESRB was around.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat 2 on Super Nintendo was a violent gore fest of fun.
Absolutely.
The fact that Mortal Kombat 2 was also actually a solid fighter didn't hurt either.
It didn't. But growing up in the Nintendo era, so Nintendo, Sega Master System, early PC, and we're talking really early at that point. I'll even just go with Generation 1 for PC, which would have been in the days like the 286, 386, 486.
Oh,
early 90s.
You know what game I miss?
Which?
Descent.
Actually, I've got a call out for a green-lighted Steam game, which looks pretty Descent-ish.
And I forget the title, but I think I know the game you're talking about because I'm pretty sure I greenlit it myself. So.
Yeah, see, for $20, I'm really thinking about buying it over the Christmas break myself. It's a persistent universe, looks very Descent-ish, you improve your ship and a whole bunch of other stuff. It just sounds like Descent, but better in many ways. Going on to games that I knew were censored, we got the modes in our version as well, but we never turned it on. Carmageddon with its robot/alien mode because the Germans did not want people to run over real people. Actually, that's really not fair. Back then it was accused on the German board, but let's face it, there were a number of
Germany does have a history of censoring certain games.
Yes.
So. Shoutouts to German gamers. We feel your plight. No homo. Friend of the show Isaac and I played Metal Slug 3 over Xbox recently, and we noticed that even though the zombie blood beams when your character gets turned into a zombie are nice and red, a lot of the blood splatter otherwise is white.
Really?
And I believe that's a menu option. I think our version's
on what system? On what system?
Xbox Live. The
Really?
Xbox Live version that we were playing online with each other. Shoutouts to Metal Slug not having GGPO netcode, meaning that our inputs were delayed by a full half second.
Awesome.
And in Metal Slug 3, that meant Isaac and I died a lot. we're not Metal Slug Masters, but we're better than that.
Yeah.
Than what we showed in our leggy game.
I don't believe the PC version has the same problem.
Probably not. PC games have historically been not terribly censored.
Well, Carmageddon was a PC game. It was censored.
Yeah, in Germany. I'm talking about on this continent.
Oh, okay. Well,
you could play Wing Commander 2, and there's no hiding the fact that Angel and your main character were fucking hardcore while nobody believed your cloaked ship story, which always bothered me. Why did nobody believe that story?
For the same reason that nobody believed in
it was
undiscovered country for Star Trek.
It was Jazz. It was Jazz, right?
Well,
Jazz
no,
doctored everything.
It wasn't just that. With no evidence, you say that a cloaked ship shot at you and exists. Where's your evidence? Your ship was banged up. Your sensor log was completely wiped from part 1. You were in a survival pod or whatever else.
You were a highly decorated ace pilot of the Earth forces. Like, that's gotta count for something. Jazz didn't have that much pull, did he?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that wrong?
Well, no. I mean, ultimately, people thought you went nuts.
You know what I liked about that game? When Jazz was revealed to be the traitor.
Awesome.
When Jazz was revealed to be the traitor, and then you encounter him when he's under lock and key and he's playing the piano, and that whole piano theme is playing as you encounter him. I've also been looking for that game's soundtrack, because there are some themes I remember from it that I just can't find anywhere on the net.
Okay. Some games that I actually never realized actually did get censored out here.
Jumping on the Wikipedia list.
Yeah, kind of have to. I mean, there are games here I knew had censorship, but some of the big ones that I knew and didn't know. Ice Climber, actually, instead of snow monsters, had seals originally.
Yeah.
Now, I actually had a quote-unquote legit cartridge from Japan, one of those 115-1 things, and it had the original version, because I remember clubbing seals. And I felt no problem with this. Because it was a fucking video game.
We are Canadians, as our 2.2 listeners know. We're growing steadily. Do we still have that seal hunt going on that we really shouldn't have? The one that Pamela Anderson protests?
Yes, we do, and for more reasons than let's kill the seals.
I still don't think it's a good idea.
You know, if it was just us killing the seals for, making seal coats or whatever else, I could understand the protesters' complaints. However, if they actually let the population get much larger for the seals, the fishing in that region will be completely decimated.
I guess it's better than a useless-ass rodeo, so I have a thing against rodeos, and not just because rodeos and zoos, and not just because rodeos caused me to be delayed on the fucking train the other day.
Wah, wah.
Beat you.
Things like Hitler being taken out of Bionic Commando, swastikas being turned into the German eagle. Let's see here.
Some of these on this list are questionable. Like Castlevania series, it is not referenced that the game is set in hell.
Yeah.
I think that's because the game is not fucking set in hell. It's the Transylvanian fucking countryside.
I'm going with the ones that I only know actually happen. Fallout 3, for example. In the Japanese version, you can't blow up the nuclear bomb in Megaton, nor is the mini nuke launcher called the Fat Man because of the historical reference to the atomic bomb that was dropped on them. You know something? I don't like censorship, but I understand.
I have an issue with that, partly because, of course, censorship, and partly because, this war happened, and, people on both sides try to argue that their side was right, and in reality, both sides were kind of in the wrong. Japan didn't want to surrender and gave the Americans kind of no choice, but the Americans didn't have to drop 2 fucking nukes. So it's kind of wrong on both sides. Anywho, even if they were going to take out that nuclear explosion, which is very iconic in that game, they could have at least put in some other quest that lets you go down the bad guy route easier, because it's really hard to be a bad guy in the Japanese version, because you can't do that quest. There's no equivalent to get you down that path. So you have to just constantly steal from people and, kick old ladies in the cooches.
All I'm saying is I don't like censorship. I kind of understand from a government perspective in Japan why they wanted that done. Some people can be rather sensitive about it. Still,
it-
censorship is stupid.
It happened way too long ago.
The thing that bugs me, especially for games that are brought over to North America, is when they start toning down sexual themes, violence. And the game I'm looking at right now on Wikipedia is Xenosaga series for this one.
I remember that scene where in the Japanese version, the main bad guy, who could kind of stick his hand into your essence, was getting close to the pubic areas of Momo, and they kind of took that out from ours. And if I gave two shits about Xenosaga, I'd be outraged.
Well, again, we're talking about censorship,
Yes.
so guess what?
So I should
It
be...
still is censorship, whether you cared about the game or not.
You're right. I should be outraged. The fact of the matter is that scene was part of its story.
Here's the thing.
Look,
here's the problem I have.
I don't smoke, but some of my script characters smoke. Okay, because it's a thing that happens. Yeah.
As a little bit of a sidetrack on that topic, did you hear that somebody rewrote the Christmas story for The Night Before Christmas, where as part of the story, old Saint Nick smokes up a pipe. They actually rewrote it to take that out because heaven for fucking bid somebody would mention smoking.
Fictional-ass characters' doings, we totally got to be concerned with that. Right, society? Oh, this whole podcast is making me angry.
Censoring. I hate when they start pulling out, gore or, Xenosaga 2, with one of the characters having a flashback where he blows his own head off.
How does he have a flashback of that?
Or is it a flash... something...
I remember the flashback. I'm just flashing back to the time I murdered myself earlier in this podcast.
That was me.
Right, whatever. Still. Now we're getting into where games are being censored in Japan, which is so ironic.
Yeah, well, even...
Resistance, blood
even
removed.
UK.
Gears of War, blood removed.
I mean, my main console of choice for this whole thing has been PC. I've loved the Nintendos, I've everything else, but PC is my main system. Fallout and Fallout 2 actually had children completely removed. And stop giggling. I know you're giggling inside when I say those words. Were removed from the entire game in Germany and the UK because you could kill them. Now,
yes.
This was a strategy I used, and I have no moral
Baby Chucks?
problem with this.
Baby Chucks? Is it Baby Chucks?
No, but if you killed a bunch of kids, you would actually be wanted by every bounty hunter in the entire game for being a child killer. This being a post-apocalyptic world, children are needed to keep...
Can you wield the child as a melee weapon?
You can't. Carlos,
I would go back and play those.
Tell you what,
games
I will make a sprite of this for Fallout 3 that you can wield baby sharks, okay?
I watched the recent Maddox video where a baby is getting mockingly shot, and I think I creamed a little bit.
That's disgusting.
The creaming or the baby getting shot?
Yes.
Okay.
But, I mean, this was an actual part of the game that actually had things built around it. The fact that you had to take it out was stupid. One thing I didn't know is even going back as far as the Super Nintendo for Final Fantasy IV, I never realized that references to Christianity were altered or removed. That the spell holy was renamed white.
In Final Fantasy VI, it was renamed Pearl, and that translation even lasted into Kingdom Hearts 2, where when Sora dies, sometimes Mickey can take over, and his holy spell is called Pearl in that game, but when you use it, it's very clearly holy.
Yeah, like, all references to prayer are eliminated, including the Tower of Prayers. Rose's pray command is gone. This is stupid.
I'm an atheist. I think all religion is silly. But if you have religious references in games, like, who gives a shit?
I mean, Super Castlevania 4 having the tombstone in the opening cinematic with the cross removed.
There was even more that they're not mentioning on this list. The level, the torture chamber, was just called the dungeon here, and instead of rivers of blood and blood dripping, it was like green sludge and sludge dripping.
That is lame.
Yep, and there were scenes of like bloody gore in the background of it that were taken out. The Super Castlevania 4 version of that dungeon in Japan is very thematic and fitting. Ours is kind of
What the hell?
It's still dank and dark and dreary, but it's losing the blood.
But it loses a little bit of its impact by their changes. Yeah, I mean, Wolfenstein 3D on Super Nintendo, at least, had no blood.
Or Nazis.
Swastikas.
You can't exactly have Wolfenstein without
Hitler
Nazis.
was changed, and the enemy dogs, because, we can't kill dogs, were changed to rats. Retarded.
Final fight.
Blood was removed.
Yep.
Same thing with Mortal Kombat that we mentioned earlier. Blood and gore are totally gone. When the characters are hit, they sweat. Fatalities are replaced with something else non-gory, like pulling chest hair.
I don't recall a fatality of pulling chest hair myself.
Yeah, no, that one...
Although that is kind of violent.
Ow! How would that work on Sonya Blade?
You rip her fucking boob right off her chest.
But that's a fatality.
No, I'm sure she could survive it.
Oh, God.
I don't know, she kind of seemed like she'd have some chest hair.
Maybe. But, I mean, there are way more than the small, little, lame list actually mentions. I mean, there have been games that have been banned because they were too...
The Mega Man Zero series, robots bled, but not in our version. When Zero cut them up, they didn't splatter blood.
Really?
Yeah. Now, there are a wide variety of concerns here, like robots having blood, but they had blood.
Yeah, but weren't the characters in that like a robotic hybrid with humans?
Reploids themselves are meant to be that, and then later in that universe, the canon is that Reploids and humans kind of merged, became the same thing, so...
I mean, even Little Big Planet, any custom levels that had religious overtones?
Or sexual activity,
were
or
removed.
graphic violence, or anything like that.
Manhunt 2 being banned from, Australia because of their lack of adult-only games. I mean, there's a lot of different things that have been banned or censored or toned down over the years. But it's stupid. I mean, again, Germany, with Half-Life. Human characters, upon being shot or killed, sit down, start racking back and forth, and cry.
Just to make sure we keep naming our sources, now we're looking at Giant Bomb's censored game list. Shout out to Giant Bomb!
As much as we dislike this certain review. But yeah, no, I mean, this is retarded. Sitting down, rocking back and forth, and crying? Are you fucking kidding me? Mortal Kombat, Parappa the Rapper...
The point of the matter is censorship is stupid.
I mean,
and you should all feel
censorship
bad.
going between different regions.
I want
like
to dual-wield children as melee weapons.
Anyway, getting away from Carlos's dislike to say it lowly.
Finish that sentence properly, please.
No, to say it mildly, that he dislikes kids. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Censorship and changing things between regions is just stupid. Whether it's changing blood to ooze or changing humans to robots, ultimately, much like my dislike of many religions wanting to force their own ideals down people's throats, countries really need to start respecting the actual intent of things. Just because your council of retards who rate games in your country think that, oh my goodness, seeing blood will make somebody go shoot somebody. It's time for us as a gaming culture. We need to stand up against this bullshit and let them know that it's not acceptable. Their views do not actually give them the right to do it. Yes, they have the legal power because somebody assigned them to that, but we don't put them there. They don't, in a lot of cases, understand things. I mean, I know they've shown pictures of Germany's gaming council a couple times, and I mean, they're either old or, and I'm going to take a shot here, they're a mums group. Not the people you want to make absolute decisions on what should and shouldn't be in a movie or a game.
I think if virtual murder is any kind of crime, I should have been arrested for attempted murder a long time ago. That said, it's out of touch moms, out of touch dads, out of touch old people. out-of-touch young people. It's social conservatism that's the problem. Not fiscal conservatism, social conservatism. Social conservatism is like, you don't show blood on our TVs and you make sure all characters are straight. So that when I pursue my gay fantasies at gay bathhouses outside the public eye, I don't want to be judged for it.
Okay, I don't exactly know where that came from, but sure.
No, it's social conservatism. It's social conservatives who try to censor these games. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
I guess in general, as a
let's quickly touch on
quick, but
hang on, let's quickly talk about Wing Commander. Wing Commander 2, best one.
And
next,
okay.
Wing Commander 3, you could fly into enemy capital ships and blow them up. You could also sit through some terrible acting.
Well, they did sort of introduce the whole live action video stuff.
So Dave, I can't help but notice that you've loaded your Kickstarter start project page.
Oh, gee.
So,
nice
what in the hell is that very first item?
A masturbatory tool.
Wastio, the PC game controller for action games? How does this work?
You know something? I just thought while I was going through it yesterday with another friend of mine, and I saw it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to this later.
Huh. Okay, I think I get it. It's just WASD, but with a stick and a few buttons around it. Okay.
Ultimately, the cost is what's going to hold me back here. $79 is the only one that gets you the possibility of getting this if it ever comes out. I don't know if it would be any good, to be honest, but it was just something that I was kind of curious about.
Interesting.
But speaking of Kickstarter, Star Citizen by Wing Commander. Dude.
I missed the Kickstarter deadline. I need to go onto his website and donate because I
really quick too.
Oh yeah?
Well, because I think it, like, by tomorrow night, if you haven't actually done anything, you lose one of the cool things about the Kickstarter/website jump in early is that your ship is insured, so you will always get it back even after blown up.
Okay. So, just for anyone curious about the date we recorded this on December 1st, so I have until Sunday, December 2nd.
Or so I've heard. But Star Citizen is the Kickstarter program by awesome dude Chris Roberts, who made the Wing Commander series.
Now, this game is more like Wing Commander Privateer, in that it's a little more open, free-roaming, you do missions to build your own ship kind of thing. But it still seems really cool, and I gotta be honest with you, I am hungering for a space combat simulator and have been for some time.
A good one, and I mean...
I have a design document on paper about one for consoles.
I mean, ultimately, this game, he's listing as won't be out until November 2014. I respect that, because if it's done earlier, he can bring it out earlier. But, if he needs the time, go to it, because... The one thing I've learned really quickly about Kickstarter is it is those people that have done stuff that we will jump on really quick. So what I'm seeing, I'm really liking. There's no subscriptions, no pay to win. Everything's available to everybody with a little bit of hard work. You can play the whole game offline. But there is an online persistent universe. And... even better yet, it's not going to turn to EVE Online, because there's no massive guilds. Small fleets are possible.
I still want to troll people. With my Gundams!
See, I was worried very early about it turning into EVE Online. I don't want, thousands of people being in a guild and making massive fleets that we're unstoppable sort of thing. Small fleets going back and forth. See, Part of it, without the insurance thing that he's offering to the early supporters, is if your ship gets blown up, you now basically have to go and work for the government, make a whole bunch of money to buy a new ship. Which is a cool idea. I kind of wish that I could dock, join somebody else's ship as like a gunner or something, so while I'm offline, my guy's still doing something. I kind of like little things like that, but there's risks there as well, obviously. It's a couple years from now. We'll see what he comes up with in the meantime, but we're already seeing some very valuable things.
I am going to be watching Star Citizen very closely. So is this the part of the podcast where we just go through your Kickstarter list and talk about things? Project Guyana, I'm hoping, will give Mario a run for its money. As someone who is terribly displeased with modern 2D Mario games, I'm hoping Guyana kind of gives them a kick in the pants.
What I saw from the review on Giant Bomb, I mean, I supported the project, so I've got it.
Shout out to Giant Bomb.
We love you most of the time.
Love.
Other things that I've funded, at least, are games like Maya, which is from a UK-based solo guy. He's doing something along the lines of exploration, defense, not tower defense, because I wouldn't support one of those fuckers.
I've seen the description, a god game, so something like Populous.
Populous, but like you're going to build a research lab in a cave, and you can build multiple levels, much like XCOM. But part of your thing is going out and doing exploration around your place, but defending your stuff as well. I mean, his design document is actually not... He gives a whole bunch of information, but there's no demo or anything else yet, so it's a little bit hard to get down exactly what he's going for. I threw in 10 British pounds just to get the game.
10 British pounds, that's like $190 Canadian, right?
No, it's $190 American, $100 Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Remember, our dollar's better than theirs now. As long as we're not talking PayPal, who always fucks us.
According to certain friends of the show, the U.S. dollar has been gradually getting better.
Sure.
Not that we give a shit on this show.
Exactly.
But still. Well, I kind of give a shit, just not for the purposes.
The other one I know you were looking at as well was
Pure Solar.
Pure Solar.
I funded that as well. Apparently, it's out already on Genesis. There's this whole thing about people making new games for old systems, and this is one of them. But this will get it on PC, Mac, and Linux. I recently found
in high def.
I don't really want to hook up my old systems. Like Battle Kid, I wish I could just buy the ROM from Civac instead of buying the whole cartridge, because I don't have an NES to play it on. And maybe I should just buy the cartridge, ask him for the ROM, I keep the ROM, and I send the cartridge to Game Grumps to watch them play a game they couldn't possibly finish since they just barely got through Mega Man 7.
Yeah, sure. I don't have an opinion there one way or another.
Excellent.
But yeah, no, there are some really good things that are popping up on Kickstarter, but I'm actually kind of glad, in a very strange way, that a lot more things on Kickstarter are failing. It's showing that the Kickstarter craze is starting to slow down, and only the actual offers that are seeming like they could actually happen are being funded. I mean, a lot of those projects will actually happen. Whether they're going to turn into something good, who knows? But the little things, like I'm looking for $500 to start a webcomic. I saw one there, I'm like, okay, this has been going on for 30 days, and you've raised a whole $24.18. Oh god, now I see why.
I kind of want to start a webcomic, and I'm not going to fucking do a Kickstarter for it. I'm going to fucking get off my ass and start learning how to draw.
There you go. Yes. This person definitely didn't. But, yeah, no, that's kind of a good way to end our current podcast. This has been... and Dave, the end of Jesus. You might want to edit that part out.
But I killed Jesus.
Might want to edit that one out, too.
With my fists and my penis.
You might just want to edit that out. We're in a little bit of a phase right now.
All right. No homo.
So this has been Dave.
And Carlos.
T-Fat Guys Talk Games, episode 26. We'll see you on the flip side.
Will do. Punching Jesus so many times in the crotch area.
So, if you've liked what you heard, you want to leave us some feedback, you want to give us some criticism, whatever, our podcast site is tfgtg.blogspot.com, where you can also find the feed link and our YouTube channel.
You can also find us on Twitter at tfgtg. Yeah. There's no way to continue that. So
no way to continue that sentence.
Please leave us some feedback. We accept good and bad. We will usually respond, seeing as we have such a small group audience.
We do have thousands of millions of followers, so we might not respond to you right away.
Sure, let's go with that.